Hello, warm greetings once again. It is the African traveling teacher. So we have with us Mr. Hakim Subaya, CEO of 1 Million Teachers, an organization that is revolutionizing the education ecosystem in sub-Saharan Africa. We have Tim, uh, an associate teacher education department at Queen's University, a seasoned educator, and I can't wait for us to learn from them. But I would like to start with Hakim Subaya. Can you tell us about 1 Million Teachers?
Thanks. This was here. 1 Million Teachers is a professional teacher development organization. Ultimately, we want to empower teachers by providing them with training, ongoing professional training, and then motivating them to improve their performance. We do it in a very unique way, in the sense that we believe that teachers have the capacity to solve their own problems beyond their classroom and in the community. And our work is to give them all the tools that is needed for them to continue to develop themselves and to be successful in their career.
Awesome. This is quite interesting, and I think this is an opportunity that every teacher across sub-Saharan Africa really needs to have jumped on as soon as yesterday. But I'd like to go to Professor Peter. You have seen 1 million teachers make its baby steps and the great impact that it has done to date. What is that keeps you motivated to continue involving yourself in the work of 1 million teachers?
Well, I thank you for the question. I think what motivates me and what motivates Queen's University Faculty of Education is the fact that the impact that the program is having on so many teachers and just the uptake. So when I can't attend a lot of them because I'm in Canada, but when I look at screenshots and watch videos of the various 1 Million Teacher Black Belt events, and I have been to some Black Belt events in Lagos, I can't get over the sheer enthusiasm that the people who've taken the program have about 1 million teachers. So in fact, I'm on board, we're on board, because of its actual, what Hakim already said, the role of creating context and support to empower teachers. And I think that's what continues to motivate me. As well, I've noticed that as the years have gone on, in the same collaborative inquiry way, 1 million teachers has evolved, right, as a learner as well, and changed the way it delivers and talks, because I think that evolution is, again, the journey. And as people have reached black belts, to watch 1 million teachers to create additional avenues, including first Dan, second Dan, third Dan, and other opportunities that go with it, that they've made the effort to continue to say, what's next? Once a teacher has reached this point, what's next? What else can we do to continue to support them? I think that's the real value of 1 million teachers.
Thank you so much, Professor Peter. And this one, I actually want to tell people who have access to the African Traveling Teachers YouTube channel that I am a product of 1 million teachers. In 2017, when I got exposed and connected with Hakim, and he enrolled me into 1 million teachers, I took the courses and I realized I learned a lot that I've not learned at university during my undergraduate education degree. And I think for every teacher out there, I just want to share that what we get in the classroom at university is really not enough to give us the capacity to deliver the way we're supposed to be delivering in the classroom. So the program empowered me a lot when I thought about what would my contribution towards education and improving the well-being, the capacity of the teacher be. And it is one of the reasons why the African Traveling Teacher is existent today. And in that regard, I just want to go back to Hakim and ask a question. You are set for a target to be in the Guinness World Book of Records for an activity, an event that is going to be held by 1 million teachers this year. What is your motivation towards this goal, and what kind of teachers have access to this event?
Thank you. This is something that, and we talk about empowerment. This is something that it was an initiative of one of the teachers in our program, and when this idea came, we were pushing back like, wow, this is huge, this is scary, this will cost a lot of money. And every no we said, the teacher came back, and he would say that he understands, but then he'll come back with counter arguments. And then we gave up eventually, and we saw it. And if we are as audacious as we claim to be, why would we be afraid to do something like this? And so the Better the Teacher Conference have become something that is kind of the highlight of what we're doing this year. And we talk about how we attract new teachers into the profession, how we ensure that they continue to get training. So this is the top part of the piece, which is motivating them to improve performance. And we talk about empowerment, teachers standing tall. So this is really designed for them as one of the avenues, like Peter talked about, that we continue to find to energize teachers, to make them really proud of their work. So it's a gathering of educators. We're looking at an attendance of 6,000 educators. It's in Lagos, Nigeria. It's huge. It's at a huge arena called the Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos. It's open to every educator. And the whole idea is celebratory. We want to celebrate teachers. We want to hear keynotes from amazing leaders who are involved in the education ecosystem. We want the teachers to come and to know that there is an organization, that is solely focused on the development, and we want you to be proud of what you're doing. So it is celebratory, it is in that inspiring, and it is expected to be highly educative. In fact, the whole concept of edutainment is what we're hoping to infuse into this gathering.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think to the people who watch the African Traveling Teacher, when I say that 1 million teachers is revolutionizing education consisting on the continent, you believe me, 60,000 teachers in one place discussing, sharing experience, and hearing from known educators and leaders in the sector. Isn't this amazing?
Yes.
Professor Peter, I've had some time with you, and in our conversation, something came up and came in my mind. That you talked about the role that the teacher plays. The teacher being able to bridge the gap between the student and their dreams. That really resonated with me, and part of why I have this passion of empowering teachers for them to be able to deliver in the classroom to their expectations. I have been in these classrooms, and I know how it feels to want to give the best, but you are incapacitated. So I would like you to shed more light about what is this teacher's role of bridging the students and the class.
Interesting, and thank you very much again. What I actually say is the fundamental job of teachers is to connect kids to their dreams. And there's a lot packed into that. And in fact, I think as you unpack what's listed there, it's almost the structure or the scaffolding, I would say, about what we were trying to do in classrooms with kids. So when I say our fundamental job as teachers is to connect kids to their dreams, one thing that becomes very clear is it's not about teaching chemistry. It's not about teaching reading. It's not about teaching math. It's ultimately about helping kids reach something beyond what those subjects give us. And I think, as a hint, that's where some of the soft skills, so some of the learning skills, some of the competencies come into play too, that you're trying to, helping somebody to their dreams is as much about giving them the skill set, not just the subject matter that goes with that. Second, you have to know what the student's dreams are. And you would know all too well, you can't just walk up to a student and say, hey, what are your dreams? They're not going to tell you. Who tells you what their dreams are? People who have a relationship with you, people who trust you, people who see that you care, that they belong, and they're the ones who share their dreams with you. Then the next step after that, once you know a student's dreams, you also, as the teacher, as the professional, have to know what are the barriers for that student to reach their dreams. Some of those barriers are cognitive, some of those barriers are emotional, confidence, economic, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not your job as the teacher to solve all those, but it's your job as a teacher to know where the resources are to help them overcome some of those barriers to their dreams. So there's a lot packed in to all of that too, right? You can't learn from someone you don't like. right off the bat. So therefore, the key is having to have relationships, and those relationships are absolutely critical. And if I can continue for just a second too, when I look at quality teaching and learning, and I talk about this with my BEd students at the Faculty of Education at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, there are three fundamental criteria that need to be met in order for successful quality teaching and learning. Number one, kids have to feel safe. So you have to create conditions in which kids feel safe. And by safe, I mean that there are not microaggressions, that if they are different, and it has to embrace diversity. That's number one. Number two, kids have to feel like they belong. And I think that goes to the point I'm talking about relationships. They have to feel like you're part of it, and that they're comfortable and they're excited to be there. And third, and this one's more challenging, the kids have to see themselves in the curriculum they're learning, right? That means as a teacher, you have to teach a curriculum in which your students see themselves in it. And that's a challenge, and that's the hard work of also being a teacher. But when you meet those three conditions, what's possible is huge. And I would argue that 1 Million Teachers as an organization has also done the same three steps, that they've made sure they've created an ecosystem that their teachers feel safe, they feel like they belong, and they can see themselves in the modules and the steps that they're learning. So I would see that that's mirrored there too.
The three things that have to be taken into consideration: the environment, and the relationship between the students, the kids, and the teachers, and the curriculum. I'll come back to the question of the curriculum, the third pillar, as you mentioned. But before that, I'd like to go back to Hakeem. In the conversation, this is something I understand you, and you noted that education is oftentimes not how we view it in terms of attaining degrees and certificates and PhDs and everything, but there is a need for basic functionality that we need to work from education. Also, like education more.
I think what I was alluding to is the fact that it's not about getting paper degree, about having the skill set to be able to function in the society. I'm a big advocate for basic education. I think it's a fundamental human right. Everybody should have it. I also think that tertiary education is like icing on the cake. It is optional. It is nice to have, but it is not compulsory. And to that extent, I think that whatever we need to do, let's make sure that the basic education that everybody needs is strong enough for them to function and thrive in the society, whether it is with the emergence of AI or anything that is happening. You can read, you have competent literacy, competence, numeracy, problem solving skills, critical thinking skills, being able to function. So that's really my take. And I think that whatever government or whatever it is that we're doing is to strengthen that core. Once we have that core, and it comes back to what Peter talks about teachers connecting students to their dream. Once you have that foundational element, I think you can fly. You can add layers and layers. There is this thing we talk about. We joke about it sometimes, that schooling is not the same thing as education. You can spend all of your life in school and not be educated. So my take is that we should focus more on what students need in order to thrive, to functional education in order to thrive in the society.
In fact, that reminds me of the work I'm doing in my organization, and the Centenary program, working on a curriculum for out-of-school children, doing a foundational literacy and numeracy. But also because they are refugee children, they go through a lot of experiences and trauma and stuff, so we also have a component of social emotional learning, because these children need to be in their normal emotional status. So I think this exactly directs me to a question that I wanted to address to Professor Peter about the latest intervention in Uganda in the curriculum. We have a new competence-based curriculum that is being implemented now a couple of years down the road, that recently when we received results of all-level graduates, most of the parents and teachers were confused about the grading and everything. But I think this is a curriculum that now focuses on foundational education, basic functional education. equipping children with skills, because its intention is that if a child graduates from primary, say, they have skills that they can be able to leverage on, even if they don't make it to high school. If a child stops in senior to senior, to senior 4, they have functional skills, capability that can enable them to work, even if they don't make it to tertiary institutions, university. But I know Professor Peter must have a better understanding of how this competence-based curriculum can be implemented for us to get these results and have these children equipped with functional skills.
Yep, absolutely. And Francis, I think you did a nice summary in terms of what those skills, where there's an emphasis on the variety of skills. In Canada, even I would say 35, 40 years ago, the Conference Board of Canada actually talked about what they called the employability skills, that the businesses argued the kids graduating from school, they need to have these sorts of skills, and we're not seeing it. So schools need to do more for these essential skills like communication, problem solving, critical thinking, etc. They started out as called the Conference Board of Canada employability skills. And then they changed it into just employability skills, and then they just turned into learning skills. Mm-hmm. And only more recently, I think, in the terminology, in the lexicon, if you'd like, and I think some of the terminology comes from some of the studies out of the UN. The term competencies came up, but really we're still talking about the same thing: soft skills, learning skills, whatever we want to call them. But it's about the things that are different from just the subject matter. But it's looking at the subject matter as a vehicle or a context in which to learn also the skills, that they're in the service of the skills. Because at the end of the day, someone's going to go into the workplace. It's not because they remember that geography. It's because they learned and honed the skills of critical thinking or problem solving or working with others that came along the way. But you can't learn those skills, those competencies, within a vacuum. You have to learn them within a context, and that context happens to be the subject matter. The big change, especially, and that change has been happening in Canada for decades. And I think it's, as I read about it, it's just happening in the curriculum now. I think 2021 was the first implementation of CBC in Uganda, for example. It's more than just a slight change, as I see it. It's actually a critical change in a teacher's beliefs of what they see themselves and what their role is in the classroom. And that's going to take time. It needs support, and teachers need to feel supported in what that is. Because one of the terms that's often used in Western education too is we have to shift from being the sage on the stage, meaning the wise person knows everything and transmits it to others. We have to switch from being the sage on the stage to becoming the guide on the side. And for some people, if their whole confidence and credibility and efficacy comes from knowing content and being able to transmit, and I use that word intentionally, transmit content, then shifting to a role in which they're on the side to support student learning of competencies is a very precarious place to be, because you've actually put them in a position where they don't feel comfortable because they feel their expertise is not at front and center. But the real challenge there and the real joy there is you can develop new expertise in how to create learning situations within your subject matter to be able to achieve those competencies. So you have a newfound expertise. It's not just that you knew biology, but you know how to teach biology in a way that kids can develop critical thinking, problem solving, inquiry skills, etc. That's going to take time, because that's a belief change. And the only way you can learn that is to really fundamentally look at your teaching and what it is you're actually trying to do. And what I really think is a neat segue back is that I believe some of the modules in the 1 Million Teachers platform really question and challenge people to think about what is your role as a teacher, and is it just to know the subject matter, et cetera, or to know more. When I used to go and supervise student teachers a long time ago, they used to sometimes be nervous when I showed up. And I said, don't be nervous. I'm not coming here to watch you teach. I'm coming here to watch how your students learn. And if you just think about that, play it back for yourself on this YouTube video and hear those words again, because there's a significant difference between coming to watch someone teach versus coming to watch how that person organizes the learning context for those students. That's the big change. And I'll be honest, it'll take some time. It'll take years, because we're talking about fundamental change of the beliefs of teachers.
Thank you so much, Professor Peter. To the teachers out there, we need to change from being the surgeon stage to the guiding the side. And this way, I believe education is going to be a way that we connect our students to their dreams. As we come to the conclusion, I have a question that probably both of you will contribute to. And it is, you have lived in Canada for quite a number of years, and you have been there too for quite a number of years and integrated into educating educators. Who is the teacher in Canada, and how is the teacher viewed in Canada? And in your own view, how should the teacher be looked at? Not forgetting that you have a conference there, the teacher be. Who is the teacher, and what should the teacher be in the community?
I think what 1 million teachers tried us to do in sub-Saharan Africa is modeled, I think, on what we see aspirationally already happening in Canada. Teachers are well educated. Teachers feel supported. Teachers are respected. Teachers are fairly compensated. Yeah, there are some bumps and bruises along the way in terms of how others perceive teachers, but they're seen as a valued professional, and they're seen as people with expertise. And I think that's actually critical to professionalizing the teaching profession.
Yeah,
and that's what we're trying to get the majority of the country where we work for the teachers to get to that level. A lot of our work involves advocacy, and in fact, part of what we aim to do or what we're doing already is to get the teachers. Yes, you're in the classroom today, but at some point you're going to be in policy. You know where the shoe pinches. We want you to have a say in decision making. And if you look at, I don't know if I've shared it with you before, that whole empowerment framework that we have, there is something about decision making, knowing that what you do matters and you have a voice and you stand up, you stand tall as a professional. I think it will take a while. I think, I've said it in different fora. If I ever have a magic wand, I know exactly what to do in education, and it will be intervention in teachers, making sure that the best of the best are the ones who go into that profession, because you are entrusting the future of your future, everybody's future, into the hands of people. So, you're not gonna get somebody that is not trained to fly a Boeing 747 for God's sake. Like, it takes years and years. So how come your most precious asset, which are your kids, your future generation, you put people who are not competent there? You understand? So it's like cutting your nose in order to spite your face, and I think it's foolish. So that would be something that I would like to see, where like the very best of students compete to go into the profession. And we see that happen with Queen's University. Like, people have amazing grades, but there's only limited space for them. So you have to look at other ways to eliminate people. That's how competitive it is. A teacher graduates from school, already they are middle class from day one. But the situation is the reverse in most parts of Africa. And for you to elevate your society, you need to elevate the quality of education. And for you to elevate the quality of education, you need to elevate the quality of teaching. It's as simple as that.
If I can add in, and value them. And that's why I think this conference of 60,000 teachers in September in Lagos is trying to bring together the profession of teaching and celebrating as a profession. I think that's critical. That's more than just bringing people together. It's saying we are a profession, we are professionals, we have your kids' best interests at heart, and we have knowledge and expertise that makes that work.
Thank you so much. I think I want to be at this conference to be able to cover different stories of teachers who have been part of this program, and they have done a lot of work in their communities. Maybe at some point I'll reach out to a few who really have excelled out of being empowered to 1 million teachers. Your story about getting an incompetent pilot to fly the Boeing 707 reminded me of a story where a professor taught students, it has been running on WhatsApp some time back, and the students make a plane and the professor cannot fly in this plane. So that means he didn't trust the knowledge that he shared with the students.
I've heard about that. I think I've read somewhere about it.
Yeah. So if we are ready to have quality education, if we are ready to have students who graduate with competency, we need to invest in the teachers.
Yes.
Because the teachers are the ones who spend a lot of time with the students. We have the children at home here in Uganda, basically less than 3 months in the year, because we have them for holiday for 2 weeks first term, another 3 weeks first term, and then 1 month December holiday. So as parents, as people in the community, we don't have a lot of touch with the students. It is the teachers who are with them for a very long time, and that means we need to empower the teacher to be able to bring out the skills, the competences of these children. And as we conclude, I want to appreciate you for making this trip to Uganda and giving me an opportunity to tap into your expertise to share with the community of people who have access to my YouTube channel, The African Travel Teacher. And I think I want to tell more stories of 1 million teachers in black belts. If I have opportunity, and I should be able to.
We have lots of stories. There are many heroes, and there's a lot of story, and we need to get those stories out to inspire others.
Sure. So, just in maybe half a minute, both of you have a word for policymakers in the education system. Invite them to the conference in 1 year, and also invite many more teachers to know for the program.
Oh, well, I think this is a big one. A lot of times I say this even to myself, and I say it to others, there are times you are hesitant to go for something, and then you go. And like, oh my God, I'm going to, because you don't know what you don't know. You're exposed to it. And I think that's kind of the feeling that I get with this conference. I think that everybody, particularly policymakers, because then you would really hear from the horse's mouth. The teachers would know where they should put this, for you to be able to support it. And if we say that as leaders, policymakers and whatnot, and we're about enhancing the quality of livelihood for the people that we serve, I think it's very, very important for you as a policymaker to show up in such gathering. And there will be other policymakers, so there will be also an opportunity to compare notes, but more often than not, to also send a message to the world that teachers really do matter. And that's what this is about.
Thank you so much. And as you conclude, and call people to the conference also, it's your first time in Uganda, so what has been exciting for you?
The pineapple. I would say the pineapple. I've absolutely loved the pineapple.
Awesome.
Right? And the people, right? And bananas. Bananas everywhere. That's what I've learned over time.
Uganda a banana.
Exactly. The one thing I want to build on, final point with Hakeem, is this conference, right? Taking the leap. And I think it really, again, models teaching. Mm-hmm. You have an idea. It's a well-meaning idea. It has possibilities, and it can do good. And at some point, you can't wait until you have it entirely all sorted out. You have to take the leap. Just like teachers in classrooms, if they want to try something in their classroom, sounds good, feels right, might as well try. What's the worst that can happen? Especially if it's about helping the learning of the students.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to host you. The African Travel Teacher is so proud, and it's going to tell many more stories of inspiring teachers across the country.
Thank you.
See you.